amazing. You know, coming from the Midwest, I gotta tell you, avocados, I wasn't even sure what that was, you know. And then in high school, you know, my folks from northern Minnesota, we ended up down around the Oroville area for a while. A good friend of ours hired me. I was helping him build his shop, and I gotta tell you, working, cutting. He's a perfectionist. He believed the only way to cut I-beams was with a hacksaw. And I'm going, by the time you get through a 12-inch beam with a hacksaw, I gotta tell you, your arms, you know, every fiber of your being, and boy, come lunchtime, I'm starving. He goes, oh yeah, we got avocados and bread. And I'm going, I was hungry enough, I really didn't care. But I gotta tell you, I have come to just love, I love avocados. And I have to thank our you know, good family friend for that, for opening my eyes to a great food source. Yes?
Deja vu. When I moved out here from Florida, it was every professional meeting I went to ended with wine and cheese. And I'm thinking, who are these people? You know, they're not serious. But and avocados too. It's like,
right.
What are these guys?
Right. Yeah, and you know, kiwi, and you know, peaches are okay. You know, you'd go to the store and you buy them and you get home and they kind of taste like something, maybe a peach flavored cardboard or something, you know, and I'm just kind of going, you can take it or leave it. And boy, I got to tell you, we are blessed, you know, to live in an area where you go get a peach, you can get them at the fruit stands, and I got to tell you, you take one bite of it and you're going, wow, you know. And the nutritional benefit is just incredible. When we're talking about fun stuff like that, function of fiber, you know, because this is a very important you know, piece of the puzzle. This is chapter 2 in our textbook. Dr. Mitchell goes into, you know, the benefits of fiber, and I'm just going to kind of touch on them here. You know, 2 main functions, filler and mover.
Filler and mover.
Filler
I like
and
it.
mover, yeah. Isn't that kind of
We
fun?
gotta get a rap going with filler and mover.
We could, but we're going to restrain ourselves.
No, not me.
I knew that. Where's the room spray when I need it?
Nice.
I know. So filler, the fiber is able to absorb from 4 to 6 times its own volume of water. Okay, so we're absorbing that. It's taking up space, promotes a feeling of fullness and satisfaction. I gotta tell you, we get done with a breakfast like this, if it doesn't register with our brain that we're filled and satisfied, we're gonna want to keep going back. And a lot of people do this. They go back, and a couple hours later they go back, and you know, and that handout, if you didn't get one, there's one on the back table on gastric emptying. Well, we already know the gastric emptying, when we're going back and we're eating every hour, every 2 hours, every 4, you know, 6 hours. But before long, at the end of the day, we've eaten constantly. We're grazing. So that gastric emptying study actually pointed out that when we do that, we can actually delay our gastric emptying. And those of you regularly attending the class, you're going to get really tired of hearing this, I know. But I got to tell you, it just is so incredibly important. When this study actually showed that not only the density, food density, so you eat a good breakfast, it's going to take longer to go through the system. Okay? Gastric emptying is going to be delayed compared to if we just drank water. Okay? They found the largest delay of gastric emptying was when folks ate 3 meals a day and snacked in between. Okay? So there we have it. Our society, right? Grazing, snacking every couple of hours. Those of you in the diabetic class, if you're seeing a diabetic educator, anything like that, or even a dietitian, oftentimes the recommendations are you eat every 2 to 3 hours. Right? Okay? I had to retrain my dietitian up at Feather River Hospital simply because I shared with him, in the interview, I handed him this abstract. Gave him a few other things. I said, I want you to look at these, and then I want you to let me know how you feel about this. When he read this, he was going, no way. A gastric delay of 509 minutes, plus or minus 220, was found. So folks eating 3 meals a day, X amount of time. Folks eating 3 meals a day and snacking between meals, now we add an additional 529, or up to 729 minutes. And you stop and think about what happens in our GI tract when food stays in there for longer than it should, you know, and especially to the tune of over 700 minutes. 60 minutes in an hour, how many hours is that, mathematicians in the room?
Almost 12.
Almost 12. Isn't that amazing? So is there any reason
You're not hungry for breakfast.
you're not hungry for breakfast? But could we actually say, yeah, we're going to have, if someone has irritable bowel anyway, is that going to help? Okay. It's going to make it worse. When we talk about colorectal cancer, when we talk about any inflammatory state of the GI tract, is having food sitting there for 700 some minutes longer going to help?
Nope.
Okay.
The term they used when I was first learning this was, where's Tony? Putrefy, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was some awful word about what the food does inside. It putrefies or something.
Putrefies.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely term that says, you know, this food is rotting.
Yeah.
This food is rotting in your system. And it's just so incredibly important as we and those regularly attending this class, that was one of the first challenges, 2.5 years ago we started this talk. And I'm going, you know, that was one of the first challenges was, okay, let's work on a meal schedule. Let's work on reversing the wedge, I call it, so stronger breakfast, lighter dinner, instead of what our society does.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when we do that, and then we start thinking, okay, wait a minute, I have diabetes. So my blood sugars being elevated, I've already got gastric motility slowed. I'm not going to add to that problem by snacking and grazing every 2 to 3 hours. And so all of a sudden we start formulating a game plan of, you know what, even as a diabetic, I can have a structured meal schedule. I can eat no more than 3 times a day. I can now put 100 miles of fuel in to go 100 miles. And I start recognizing that it's the quality of fuel that I'm using that's actually going to make a difference for me. And it's pretty exciting as all of a sudden now we have, and I've been privileged to work with, I'd estimate a couple hundred diabetics that we've completely reversed over the last 14 years. And it's exciting when we are able to do that by underscoring the importance of a meal schedule, the importance of eating food that has fiber, and starting to get that extended release benefit from the foods we're eating. Instead of the 4-mile energy bar, that we get a little blurb of energy and then it's gone. So filling function important to avoid obesity. We can see how that would all work because we're more satisfied. And all the problems that go along with it, including diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, stroke, and cancer. And all of a sudden, in that one sentence, I have just encompassed all kinds of you know, medical concerns. And I'm just going, well, wait a minute, I think we're on to something here, right? Fiber. The mover stimulates the intestine and prevents constipation. I got to tell you, constipation, GI issues across the board, it is so prevalent. You know, folks will come in and you know, the first question I ask is, you know, how much water do you drink? Well, as a general rule of thumb, you know, there's a few exceptions, medical conditions, but can somebody tell me how much water should I be drinking on a daily basis?
Question on stimulating the intestines,
Uh-huh.
is that a mechanical thing, or is there a hormone exchange that tells your colon to do its thing?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I would tell you, there's probably no magical hormone that fiber is going to stimulate, but fiber is going to have that bulking.
Well, the bacteria probably has its message, so.
Yes, and I love it when you read my mind, because I think secondarily, from the biochemistry side of it, yeah, we're going to have several signals, sent in
Or not set.
or not sent.
That's-
And I think that's, in fact, what is it? I think it's butyrase that actually, helps the colonic cells, that inner membrane. And I gotta tell you, when that's not there, we're gonna have just a completely different, pathway and signals there. So that's a very deep question.
What is that future?
I'm gonna hit that a little bit later, but yeah. Yeah, but that's just one. The production of short chain fatty acids, how our body's processing is definitely gonna have an impact on that. So rule of thumb, how much water should I be drinking on a daily basis?
Your weight.
Your weight in ounces.
I hear your weight in ounces.
No, half of your weight.
Half your.
Half
Half your weight in ounces.
Okay, so general rule of thumb, half of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, 100 ounces of fluid or water would be recommended. Now exceptions to that rule are going to be congestive heart failure, renal failure, just to name a couple. So obviously with each individual, I say, don't just leave here and start drinking a ton of water if your doctor's instructed you to limit water because of your health conditions. But it's just so important. Constipation can be just significantly reduced. I know Linda, she would go, okay, drink 20 ounces of water in the morning at breakfast. Yeah, sorry, Linda, we got another Linda too.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
She also, one thing, because I came out here with joint pain, and maybe environmental, but my joint pains are gone, praise God, in a month. But
Awesome.
lemon water, orange juice, fresh orange, fresh lemon. I don't know if she put some grape juice or grapefruit. It was all citrusy, but I was doing that as a booster,
Uh-huh.
about 50-50 with water, and it was great too
Okay.
for helping the system and flushing and stuff.
Okay, so when we are creating in our bodies an environment that we are going to reduce inflammation, we're going to have a variety of presentations, and one is in fact going to be a reduction of total body aches and pains. And it's just exciting for many folks to actually experience that for themselves. They're sitting here going, okay, I'm going to eat foods that are going to be whole foods. They're going to be high in fiber. They're going to be low in anything processed or artificial. And all of a sudden we're sitting here starting to find that, yeah, our energy levels are more, but we're also able to, just have a higher quality of life. So big deal. So getting rid of the constipation scene. We're half of our body weight in ounces. Keeps the contents of the digestive tract soft. High fiber foods pass through more quickly. So again, we're talking about, okay, let's bring on the fiber. And Dr. Mitchell points out 24 to 36 hours, time taken to go through the system of high fiber food compared to 3 to 5 days with foods that are low in fiber. Pretty big difference. Again, we can be talking about that decreased putrefaction. We can just talk about the absorption of nutrients and keeping our system efficient. Yes, Millie?
Yeah, I was wondering how much you consume besides your food How much fiber should be consumed?
So you're talking about fiber supplementation, things like that? Great question. And I will tell you, you know, pretty much when you have a meal like this, you're getting about as much fiber as you need. And there are some folks that with irritable bowel symptoms, I know back when I was doing primary care, I would literally have folks that I would encourage them to add a little bit of Metamucil or something like that with a beverage, you know, their hot glass of water to start their day, just simply because with their signs and symptoms, we just needed to enhance the amount of fiber that they were actually ingesting. And in most cases, that was not going to be an everyday event, didn't need to be. So when our diets are totally based in whole foods, whether it's fruit, vegetables, whole grains, even our proteins from legumes, you know, like that protein patty this morning, I'm just going, wow. You know, and that's going to be that whole grain. Just the fiber content is going to be just spot on where we need to be. So the transition time, definitely. Blood sugar stabilizer, well again, you know, we get that extended release benefit, and I'm sure this was touched on in the diabetes class, you know, probably multiple times. Slows the rate at which nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream, smooths out the ups and downs of blood sugars. You know, and so instead of, you know, it's like I've had diabetics come in and their blood sugars they'd feel like it was low, so they'd eat a Snicker bar. So then their blood sugars spike, you know, it just jacks up, so then their body's dumping more insulin in, then they have a low, another hour, you know, hour and a half later, another Snicker bar. And they go through the day just like this. You know, they're on this roller coaster ride. And boy, talk about, you know, tiring out the system. And so when we start recognizing, okay, let's plug in some foods that are actually high in fiber, and you know, let's optimize nutritional benefit. Cholesterol, soluble fiber binds with the cholesterol and takes them out of the body. Helps to reduce the level of blood cholesterol and thus reduces the risk of heart disease. You know, it just kind of all makes sense. You know?
You know, I have a quick story to share right there.
Okay.
Okay, I had my mail in my hand with all the coupons for the fast food joints. Buy one, get one. And the guy spotted me, and for some reason he can see the glow of this class on me. Because he said to me, "You're not going to use those coupons, are you?" And I said, "For what?" I didn't even know what he was looking at. "For what?" He said that buy one, get one free, you know, heart attack making hamburger from Jack in the Box. And I went, "No, actually I'm not." And I handed it to him. He says, "Well, I guess I'm going to get me my heart attack. I guess I'll have yours too."
Oh, that's great.
And it was like, wow, this guy doesn't even know me. He doesn't know what I'm doing. He's seen me around, but he can tell something's going on.
I like it.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Doc Meyer? There's the glow of Ann.
Something's going on, because if somebody's pulling my buy one, get one free hamburger coupons out of my hand, they can tell I don't want it no more.
That's great. See, now if everybody shows up regularly to the class, we're going to have a bunch of people walking around glowing, right?
Yes.
Either that and or you tell them with the stain.
Oh, there you go. Colon protector protects the lining of the colon from harmful food residues. By speeding things up, fiber reduces the time that cancer-causing substances are in contact with the colon. Yes?
What exactly does it mean, protects the lining of the colon from food residues?
You know, and I love that, and that question is really, I'm actually going to be addressing that a little bit later. Because just in a nutshell, what's going to actually happen, we're going to find that the organisms in our GI tract, the ratios and even the type of organisms are actually feeding into how our body protects itself. And that's such a huge part of colon health. And it's pretty fascinating and very much an in-depth topic. We're gonna probably even have to spend a little more than one class period on that. Yes?
That Miralax is a big thing that they're pushing now.
Mm-hmm.
How harmful is that?
You know, if you become a Miralax
Dependent.
junkie,
Yeah.
Is that a laxative?
it is,
Okay.
and actually, you know, and it's like any regular use of laxatives and any stool softeners, anything like that. You know, again, if your
You
dog,
increase the fiber, you can lay off that.
I love the way you think, because that is
I learned it
exactly, that is exactly our goal. We want to reduce the need for dependence on Miralax. And basically, as we are learning these natural ways of doing this, we can actually see folks, I've literally had irritable bowel, you know, very severe irritable bowel symptoms in patients resolve even within a week, simply by applying the basic health principles that we've touched on and discussed this morning. And it's incredible when folks for years have been running to the restroom every time they eat, they abdominal cramping, intermittent, you know, constipation with diarrhea, all of these things. Simply when we start understanding, okay, I need more fiber, I need more whole foods. Oh, and by the way, I need a meal schedule because I don't want to delay gastric emptying, and I've got to improve my glycemic control. So all of a sudden, we're sitting here going, wow, not only have we reduced the IBS, now we don't have reflux, and it just makes my smiling muscles work better knowing that I'm working on the most effective cancer prevention strategies out there. And before long, I'm sitting here going, wow, the sun's shining.
So acid reflux is because people are eating all the time. They're eating between meals and that. Is that what causes it?
That whole putrefaction process, we have chaos in the digestive system. When we have a meal schedule, when we have a larger breakfast, and now we're not eating this massive dinner an hour before we go to bed. Now we have folks that are sleeping better, we have folks that don't have all that reflux. And it's just very exciting for me to have folks come in and they go, you know, I actually forgot to take my Nexium. And I forgot to take it for a couple of weeks and I didn't have any heartburn. And I kind of look at them and go, congratulations. Because I think you have now become a graduate of the GI class. Because now we're starting to understand one of the most common mechanisms out there. I mean, it makes sense. You eat a large meal and then you go lay down and try to sleep. You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning choking because dinner's trying to escape. Okay?
It's not funny, but.
Yeah, you're right, you do that, yes.
I have a friend that I go to lunch with every once in a while, and she's got Crohn's disease, but I think she has a terrible diet. I bought her the Gregor book, but
Nice.
she's not following it.
Ah.
However, she got a card from her doctor that says she has to go to the bathroom now, and she presents it to whoever, if she's at some kind of an event or, have you ever heard of that?
Sure.
Why?
I don't know that I would say that I've had a permission card so people could go to the restroom, but if they're in a job setting or
Yes.
something like that, that they have to have an excuse to utilize the restroom more often than the average person. But you know, that's part of this whole process. And when we look at ulcerative colitis, we look at, you know, we can just kind of then start, you know, opening the next can of worms and start talking about all the autoimmune disease processes. And then, you know, Doc Meyer and I start quivering with excitement because there's so much that can be done to actually reduce that inflammatory state. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how can I reduce the inflammation within my body, and how can I make it so my body's not turning on itself? You know, and recognizing that, yeah, there are folks that eat everything plant-based, they have a meal schedule, they do all these things, and yet they still deal with some autoimmune disease processes. And we recognize that, you know, it's not going to be the cure-all for everybody. But understanding that we have that ability to reduce the probability and decrease inflammation in our bodies, it's so incredibly important.
So you're saying Crohn's disease is not genetic, it's our habits are.
You know, I would have to look, I'm not sure, do you know offhand, is this a genetic link or with Crohn's ulcerative colitis?
Because I've known people.
I don't think it's genetic.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would think.
That's not usually, it comes up that it runs in families, but people tend to eat like their
But
parents.
they've got those habits out.
So, you know,
Interesting. That
yeah,
is really.
so even if there are genetic links, you know, well, and we look at diabetes, we look at all.
But it's so prevalent today, I never
Sure.
even heard of it growing up as a kid,
Well,
I never heard of it.
it's prevalent today, but stop and think about just what's being
Our lifestyles
promoted.
today,
What is our lifestyle like?
Fast.
You know, does the average person, if we stop the next person out here on South Jackson, would we find that they have a meal schedule? Would we find that they understand how to decrease inflammation by what they eat?
But even Dr. Meyer said the people at the cafeteria who should know better don't follow it.
And the key is, should know better.
Should know better.
And, you know, it's exciting for me to think that the individuals in this class know more than a lot of the healthcare professionals in the area. I like that. Yes?
I'm thinking with some of the prevalence of the medication, even if you improve your diet, the medication has its effect on that bacteria and the colon muscle also, hence
Okay.
the IBS prevalence.
And so when, in using kind of a general, you know, just,
Opiates.
you know, when we look at medications like opiates, absolutely. You know, so the opiates, everything, you know, and that's why folks will use Norco, Vicodin, you know, Oxycontin, whatever the case might be. Number one side effect,
Constipation.
constipation, okay? And that doesn't even touch the spectrum of what it's doing to their mind, what it's doing to their moods, you know, everything else. You know, that I see in my office, unfortunately, way too often. But I will definitely agree, everything, you know, medication-wise, I even take that to the next level. I said, you know, multivitamins are gonna have a side effect. There's a potential side effect with a multivitamin. There's a side effect with a multivitamin, can range from any GI, and just about any, nausea, upset stomach, you know, reflux, you know, to then if we start talking about potential toxicities, things like that. The whole idea, there's even side effects from our cereal there this morning with dates. The awesome part, the side effects oftentimes are going to be completely outweighed by the positives. So that's that cost-benefit, you know, ratio. But it's also, we start wrapping our minds around the fact that we have something going on that I call total body response. Every one of us, our body's going to respond to everything that we put into it. Whether it's a multivitamin, whether it's a cereal, whether it's a breakfast patty, anything like that. Okay, so then we go to the grocery store. Yes, Doc?
I should just correct what I was saying about Crohn's disease. In Wikipedia it says that it is also multifactorial. Crohn's disease is caused by a combination of environmental, immune, and bacterial factors in someone who's genetically susceptible.
Okay, so genetics does play a role then.
Yeah. So it's not just one factor, but the lifestyle plays a big role.
Okay.
Brings it, yeah, helps increase your chances.
So, right, so genetically, if I'm predisposed to diabetes and I choose not to eat